Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Go for a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Let's hang out. And let's talk about what lessons about. Let's hang out. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Let's hang out. Let's hang out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Hang Out. I'm Ellie Brigida.
And I'm Lee Holmes Foster, and here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This Week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. We want to remind you all that we are still on our Season 5 Patreon campaign, and we want to thank Leah Smith, who is our newest patron. You can join them at bit.ly/lespatreon.
And we want to remind you that we have our upcoming holiday live show with our friends over at Bad Queers. We're going to be on Zoom on December 7th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We are just going to have a chaotic Christmas good queer time. And
I'm
you should
so
be there.
excited. Talking about all, because we have so many Christmas movies and holiday films that are coming
Speaking
out,
of.
right? Speaking of, great segue, Ellie. We wanted to share with you, there's a bunch of new lesbian and queer holiday movies coming out this year. Under the Christmas Tree is Lifetime's movie. Keep an eye out on our feed because we will be talking to Elise Bauman and Tatiana Jones about the movie. They're the two stars of it, so we're really excited for that. There's also Single All the Way, which is the Netflix movie, which I saw the trailer and started crying because it's just like a happy gay Christmas movie, and it's totally cool that they're out, and I just am like, this is amazing. My bar is so low because of Happiest Season, but I'm excited for it.
How dare you say that name on this podcast? Come on, Ellie.
We have to say it like once a year.
We're going to start getting angry emails from people.
There's also Every Time a Bell Rings, which I believe is on Hallmark.
Yeah, with Allie Liebert, yeah.
And Christmas at the Ranch, which is Tello's new Christmas film. We're big fans of Seasons of Love. And I Hate New Year's, which came out last year. So we're really excited for Christmas at the Ranch.
Plus, I saw a TikTok. Rivka Reyes did a TikTok, and I think there's another. I don't think it was like a mainly queer. I think it was also a Lifetime movie, but I heard that there was like a queer kind of like secondary plot to it. So I have to look up the name of it. I don't remember, but always intrigued to see more, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Also, some of you may remember we did a Should Have Been Gay on a little show called Facts of Life.
One of
And
my
we hear
favorites Should Have
there's-
Been Gays, to be honest. That was a really
right?
good one.
It was a great episode. And we hear that there's like a reboot or something with Catherine Hahn playing Joe, and they want to kill the gays, is what I think is happening.
I'm excited to see if it actually they go for it and they make it gay. Because
I feel like even if they don't, it's going to be gay regardless.
You're right.
You can't convince me that that's not going to happen.
Catherine Hahn's in it, therefore it is gay.
And Catherine Hahn playing Joe, like already, it's like gay on top of gay. It's just, that's a lot of gay.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. That's what's happening this week. Back to you, Ellie and Lee.
Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome to our 73rd installment of Should Have Been Gay.
Oh, it was fun, it was great, but it should have been a little more gay.
And in this week's episode, sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
This is going to be so off.
And they're always glad you're gay.
That was so beautiful. Thank you for that, Lee.
You're welcome.
I've been waiting years for that.
Who hasn't been? Come
Whenever we open our own lesbian bar, because, you know, that's probably something we'll do at some point in our lives. Lee just has heard this for the first time today.
I'm excited though. I'm
You'll
looking
have
forward
to
it.
write a theme song for it, except you already sort of did.
I'll write us a better one, please.
Yes, so we are here today to talk about Cheers with Sarah Gabrielli and Rachel Karp, who are the creators of Cruising Podcast, a new podcast about the last lesbian bars in America. Sarah and Rachel, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We are so excited that you're here. Also, really excited about your project. So, can you tell us a little bit about Cruising? You basically went and visited every single lesbian bar in the United States, right? So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, as far as we know, we've been to every single lesbian bar in the US. There's like around 20, 21. Yeah, we took a month-long road trip and just kind of banged them all out, and also interviewed owners, bartenders, regulars along the way. And we're like making little mini documentaries about all of them.
That is so cool. I know it's probably impossible to pick, but what were some of your favorite bars?
That's a really good question and a really hard question. We love them all. We love them all for various different reasons.
They're all your little babies. That's okay.
Exactly.
But what were some of your cool experiences that you had at some of them?
I think aesthetically, I personally fit in the best at the San Francisco bar, Wild Side West, which is just a really cool setup, and they have really fascinating decor. They have this backyard garden area with all these little kind of different private nooks and tables, and it's just like filled with all this art that's mostly like found objects. There's like the front of a car, there's a toilet seat with plants growing out of it. So that's where I felt most at home on the road.
Yeah, we both left there and we were like, okay, this is probably the coolest that we've been to. Like it was like visually it was incredible. It was really, really cool there in San Francisco.
And you two are you both in New York right now?
We're in Brooklyn.
So you're used to like the New York lesbian bars. Those are like your spots.
Yeah, so the first 2 episodes that are out now, we covered Cubbyhole and Henrietta's, which are the 2 New York City bars, and we talk a little bit about how those were like our first experiences in lesbian bars and kind of motivation for us, because we know that we have all these stories at Cubbyhole and all of these foundational memories, and we're like, other people must have those at like every single lesbian bar, which is correct, of course. Like everyone's like, this was life-changing, and like that's what it was for us at Cubbyhole as well.
That's awesome. I went to college in New York, so I also had very formative experiences at Henrietta's and Cubbyhole. I spent my 21st birthday at Henrietta Hudson, so that was a time.
Oh,
Yeah.
That must have been incredible. I
was
like wish I had
amazing.
mine there.
It
Yeah.
was amazing. Yeah, quite trashy, but great. I could go on a rant about lesbian bars. That's why I'm happy. I'm happy that
Yeah.
you're both here. We
Yeah.
love
Well,
a good
we're happy to
lesbian
rant about
bar.
it.
I know.
Yes.
That's definitely something we noticed too, like kind of smaller cities and states in the South and out West that have more lesbian bars because they need them more than like Boston and New York. So
Yeah, aren't there there's multiple in like Ohio or something?
there's
Right?
one in Ohio, but there's 3 in Oklahoma.
Yes, Oklahoma.
So
And 2 in Texas. Yeah, those
Yeah.
were the big surprises.
What was the difference between the bars in Oklahoma and the bars in New York?
The big one is that they're smoking inside in Oklahoma, which
Is
was
there really?
wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah.
We reeked after we left there. But also, Rachel, I don't know, we haven't talked about this, but I feel like it's so much easier to like meet new people there. I have not made new friends at a gay bar in New York because it's so crowded, and like everyone has like their own little queer community, I feel like. And when we were at these other bars, they were pretty empty, and like even if we weren't like going up to people with a microphone in their face, they like, it seemed like everyone kind of wanted to chat at the bar and that sort of thing.
Just less clicky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
More of a universal community feel, I think.
Yeah.
Is there anywhere that does, because like I know in Boston there's like Gorilla Gay Bar, right? Is there anywhere that does like Gorilla Lesbian Bars? That's what I want to know if that exists.
There's a lot of new places that are doing like takeovers. Yeah. Like even in New York, what's it
The
called?
Woods.
Yeah, like the Woods does a takeover,
Yeah.
or Dave's
Dave's-
lesbian bar.
Mm-hmm. They're like
Yeah.
trying to open a brick and mortar, but they've been doing a lot of pop-ups. And yeah, there are a ton of pop-ups and lesbian parties, which we had to like kind of draw the line somewhere with cruising in terms of what spaces we're going to cover. But we do also personally love like the Woods and Dave's and
Yeah. I feel like they must have them, at least in bigger cities. They probably have a bunch of them. Like, that's what we were talking to the people in DC about, that before they had, because they only recently opened the lesbian bar that we covered there. And before that, it was all parties and pop-ups, that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's a cool model too that I feel like we've been seeing of like people like hosting events and like taking the money from the events that they're running to like open a brick and mortar space. You also get like, I don't know, like you get a proof of concept of like, hey, we've hosted all these events. All these people want to come to it. So like give us this space. And like obviously then they have the funding for it. I think it's a cool community building concept to create a space like that. But we could talk about lesbian bars forever. We're going to keep talking about them. We need to talk about Cheers, but we're going to talk about the gay version of Cheers, which is basically just a lesbian bar. So let's do it. So, Lee, why don't you give us the IMDb synopsis? Let's do it.
I'm so ready. So the IMDb synopsis for any one of our little gaybies listening who might, not know what Cheers is. The synopsis of Cheers is: the regulars of the Boston bar Cheers share their experiences and lives with each other while drinking or working at the bar where everybody knows your name.
It's a great IMDb synopsis. And I will say, like, it is a very old show. Like, I never watched any of it. Like,
Were you alive when it ran, Ellie?
So, no, barely. Like, I was alive for one season.
Okay, great.
Like, it's an old show. And I'm not that young. All right. Like, it's an old show. But it ran for 11 seasons. Like, it had a pretty long run from 1982 to 1993. So this was a long, long running show.
So me and Rachel, we were not alive for a single. We were years away from being alive.
Yep.
For any part of it.
Well, we'll talk about our gay synopsis, then we'll talk about our experience with it. But yeah, I just started watching it today for This Should Have Been Gay. So like I had not seen any episodes before. But I did find some interesting things about it before we go into our gay synopsis that I feel like ties into gay shit a little bit. And that is that Cheers ran for 11 seasons, but it was almost canceled during its first season because it ranked 74th out of 77th of all TV shows. So it's third to last in the ratings for its first season.
Also, can we discuss how there were 77 TV shows?
That's it. In 1982, yeah.
Probably total, and that's incredible, and I love that as a fact.
But
so
it was the third worst one according to ratings. And I feel like that just ties, like, if it was a lesbian show, it would have been canceled in the first season. But, since it's straight people at a bar, they kept it going.
If it was on Netflix, come on.
It would have been canceled even if it was the number one show on Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
And to add to that, a tidbit that I learned while I was researching the show is some say, I don't know how true this is, but that the episode towards the end of the first season called The Boys in the Bar, which was the first episode to feature gay characters and like talk about homosexuality at all in any way, and was a super risky move at the time, actually is what like saved the show and got it renewed for another season, because not very many people tuned in the night that it aired for the first time, but in the next few weeks there was like a lot of hype about the reruns of this like controversial new episode that had gay people on it.
The gays saved the show even in 90 even that has like rocked my world. I also we'll talk about that episode because I did some research on it as well, and I'm like, it's an interesting one. But before we do that, let's do our gay synopses. Are we ready? All right, I'm gonna have Rachel start. What's your gay synopsis for
Amazing.
Cheers?
Okay, my gay synopsis is: Cheers chronicles the lives of a multitude of closeted queer employees and patrons as they blunder through their heterosexual relationships at their local neighborhood bar and gradually discover their sexuality.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Beautiful synopsis. I'll go with mine next because mine's a little bit different. Mine's like a reimagining of Cheers if we remade it now, which is: the regulars of the Boston bar queers share their experiences and lives with each other and tend to date one another while drinking and working at a lesbian bar where everyone knows you're gay.
That's
Amazing.
really good. That's so
incredible.
good.
I would really tune in for a gay Cheers. I really think it's about time.
Netflix, give us like 1 or possibly 2 seasons of it now. Come
Yeah,
on.
like it's really about time. Sarah, what's yours? Well, like we're gonna popcorn between guests and let's hang out.
Okay, so I will say this was really difficult because it's like such a heteronormative show. Like this is anyway, there's a couple of different avenues you could take. Rachel, I respect yours. I almost went that way. Mine is in in the alternate universe where Sam actually does unintentionally turn Cheers into a gay bar at the end of season 1. All of the Cheers regulars and staff are forced to confront their own queerness when their bar is taken over by the gays, and they must keep the bar afloat despite their mounting sexual tensions.
That is hilarious.
Amazing.
Just envisioning this season, everyone watched season 1 and then they just get completely tricked into watching like seasons 2 through 11 as a gay bar.
Listen. You know how there's like this whole like, are we in the Berenstein universe or the Berenstain universe? Like, I want to live in the universe where that version of Cheers aired. That's what I want. How do we hop over into that dimension?
They're like, yeah, so it's a gay bar now. Sorry, like you can't go back. Like you invited the gays in, and this is just where we are now.
They've taken over.
Incredible.
I'm here for that.
I think my gay synopsis, again, as someone who has never seen a single episode of Cheers, so this is my gay synopsis based only on my understanding of the show from hearsay and rumor, okay? So it's a bar where a bunch of, like, misunderstood people have, like, a found family where they all kind of messily date each other and, like, on-again, off-again relationships, but still find community in, like, a shared space together, which like sounds gay to me, everyone. I don't know.
Very gay. I like that you've never seen an episode and you still know it's gay. Yeah. It's hard. There was no way we were watching all 11 seasons of this show before we did This Should Have Been Gay.
Sorry, we actually started prepping for this 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, I started watching Cheers.
This is a long con, okay?
Not only is it 3 seasons, but 11 seasons, but each season has like 27 episodes in it.
Yeah,
so it's a lot of hours of television.
It's like the old school TV seasons, you know. They used to be long, everyone. Yeah. They used to be long.
Have you guys ever done something with more content than this?
Like with more episodes?
Yeah. With more to consume.
That's a good question.
That is a really good question. We have done TV shows before. I mean,
yeah, but Buffy didn't run this long. What else did we do that was a show?
We've done like some of the older shows, like Laverne and Shirley, I think ran for a while, and we probably didn't watch all the episodes, but I don't know how many seasons.
We probably. You say as though there's a question whether or not we went back and watched the entire run of Laverne and Shirley.
That was a show that I would watch. Like, obviously not in the time frame that it had happened, but no, even Laverne and Shirley is a lot shorter than this.
What else did we do I Love Lucy? I can't.
Yeah, done that.
You did I Love Lucy.
We've done it. Yeah.
Please, guests, can you tell me what episodes we have?
No, you don't even know. When we were about to do Cheers, I don't know. There was like something in the back of my mind that was like, we've done Cheers, haven't we? And I was like, no, we definitely have not. Because I started watching the show and I was like, I've never seen the show.
Listen, 73 episodes in, we lose track.
It's okay. It's okay. But I think this is a good segue into what our experience was with the show, because what was our experience? So let's start with Sarah. What was your experience with the show? You said you were not alive when it was out, but
you guys. Okay. Well, first of all,
make me feel very old right now, everyone. It's cool.
This should be an aside question. Like, we don't need to endorse the show, right? Like that's not necessary.
It's you don't have to be like, yeah, I love this show to do a Should Have Been Gay on it. It's sort of like if you turn it gay, it changes everything anyways.
Okay, cool. I love the gay version.
Yeah.
Listen, we made it through a Should Have Been Gay on Gold member. We are not gonna require everyone to enjoy the things we are talking about.
Okay, so, well, I had only seen a couple episodes of Cheers, and that is because of the last episode of season 1, the Boys in the Bar. I took a class in college called The Gay 80s, and we had to watch it. So my impression before going in, I was like, Cheers must have been so progressive. Like, they were like making moves, you know, they were, you know, doing a lot for the gay community. And I was just telling my roommates today, like, I don't think I've ever watched a show that was more dated. Like that held up worse than Cheers. I actually like
Listen, I feel like we should just preface for like all of our listeners. If you ever think like, hey, maybe this show that aired in the 80s was like secretly a progressive gem,
Probably not.
just like really, really lower those expectations, okay, friends? It's not gonna be up there, I promise you.
Well, I've only watched the first 2 episodes, but like Sam, who's the bartender, is like so misogynistic.
no, he's like actually a predator. Like I can't. There are so many scenes because I didn't know. I thought we were watching the whole thing. I watched like a lot, and there are so many scenes. There are so many scenes where he's like actually like assaulting women. Like he's actually. There's a scene with Kirstie Alley where they're like staying in a hotel room together, and he's like pretending to be asleep and just like continuously rolling over and like spooning her, and she's pushing him off, and like he's snoring and continuing to do that. So many scenes where he's like, oh yeah, let me get you another drink to like loosen you up, and that's the joke, and the laugh track is like another drink. Like when him and Diane first get together, this is the last like complaint I'll have about Sam, but he thinks he gets like advice that he should show her who's boss, and that will really like she'll be attracted to that. He breaks down the I'm sorry, it's so insane. He breaks down the door of her apartment and like picks her up and is like and was like, we're going to the bedroom, and is like trying to force her to have sex with him, and she's like, okay, and she like doesn't let him, but that's like his like that's his goal. And the laugh track again is like crazy.
Wow.
Well, they're also like, I mean, in the second episode that I watched, there's like a whole sequence with like every guy at the bar. The entire point of the episode is that there's a hot woman there, and every single time like the guys are like, oh, hot girl, let me go, like stare at her and like be weird. And like it's like a fight to like who gets the hot girl, basically.
Yeah.
And it's bad.
That happens a lot. Like if there every single episode I feel like there's an attractive woman that gets like completely objectified by multiple people at the bar. That's like a main plot.
They had to get those ratings up, everyone. Come on.
Oh my god.
And half of them are married. Like most of the men at this bar are married.
Oh yeah.
And like there even was a scene in the first episode where some guy had his ring, like he walks out of the door and he like had his wedding ring and he puts it back on. And they like show him putting it back on. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And he was like, got it. He's like swing and a miss, and he put his wedding ring back on. I'm like, what is happening?
In today's 1980s edition of Are the Straights Okay? The answer is, of course not.
No.
They never are.
Definitely not.
Rachel, what about you? Tell us a little bit about your, what I'm sure will also be really, really positive experience with Cheers.
I actually think that I enjoyed what I watched of it more than I was expecting to, but the bar was very, very low. I had not seen any of Cheers, and I was like, this like really straight sitcom that is dated from the 80s, like there's no way I'm gonna find anything to like about it. It has its moments of being mildly entertaining when it's not being extremely problematic. And also I was watching it all through the lens of like trying to find gay things about it, which was a super fun exercise, even though I knew that my theories would never, like I would never be satisfied. None of what I found that was gay would ever like come to fruition throughout the 11 seasons. But
I do feel like anytime you watch a show with a should have been gay lens, it just gets better. So like it doesn't really matter what the show is, but agreed. As far as my experience, I've sort of said it. I watched the first 2 episodes, or maybe 2.5. For me, because I'm from Boston, that part was sort of interesting to me. And I was like, okay, I can like feel a little nostalgic. There was a point where like a Yankees fan came into the bar, and there was this whole like brawl with Carla, which also Carla's so fucking gay. But we'll definitely talk about Carla. But agreed, like I chuckled sometimes. I like Ted Danson as an actor. So I was like, it was interesting to see him young, because I used to like, I feel like I look at Ted Danson and I see him in The Good Place. But yeah, very, very, very dated. Lee?
Yeah, I again, never have still yet to ever watch actually an episode of Cheers. I feel like most of what I know from Cheers comes from the fact that I did watch a lot of Frasier growing up. Frasier was a spin-off of Cheers, for anyone who doesn't know that. I feel like a lot of our listeners might also not
I didn't know
remember
that.
Frasier. Well, Frasier started as a character on Cheers, and then the show itself was like a spin-off. And if my, experiences of what I remember of Frasier serve as any indication, I have to assume Cheers probably wasn't any better in terms of like very just, ubiquitous or early 90s, late 80s kind of problematic stuff that has not aged well. And so that's what I would expect. But yeah, most of what I know about it is just from, hearing either people talk about it or like hearing stuff that would like come up during a Frasier episode, and then my parents would be like, "Oh, they're talking about this that happened in Cheers" and stuff like that. So that's kind of it. I'm gonna be operating purely on rumor for this.
On speculation
and my own wild guesses, and I'm feeling good about it. I'll be honest.
I'm excited for it. So let's talk. Which character should have been gay? If we're coming at it from the lens of the closeted gays at the actual Cheers, who's closeted at Cheers?
Most of
I
them.
think
All
that,
of them.
Yeah, I think all of the customers are. I don't want Sam in my like queer community. He can be straight, and he's just like he just bothers the lesbians. Coach, like he can be straight. He's fine. But I think that everyone else, Carla, obviously we talked about. So,
Let's
there.
dive in on Carla to start then, because Carla has a lot of gay flags. Like, she comes in the first episode, she hates her ex-husband, she has a short haircut, which is just like, doesn't have to be gay, but she's wearing like a baseball tee or something. She's very aggressive. Not all gays are aggressive, but like she's very like tomboyish. And she has some like very interesting lines. I wrote a few lines that she said that I'm like, if you think of this as a lesbian saying it. This is from the gay episode, The Boys in the Bar. She says, "If guys keep coming out of the closet, there isn't going to be anybody left for me to date, and I'm going to have to start dating girls." And it's like, Carla, are you upset about
Wow.
that? Or like is that just a statement? Like you're like, okay, I guess I will satisfy that part that I've been hiding. That's what I think on Carla. Anything else about Carla?
Carla was the character who like never had successful relationships ever, right? And just kind of always like picked the worst dude. Which I feel like is like a good self-sabotaging gay move, right? Of being like, oh, it's not that I like don't want to date men, I just always pick losers. Poor me. I guess I'll have to do it again. And like, I don't know, I feel like that, especially at the time, right? Because that's the thing, is like a lot of the should have been gays we do too. It's like, I feel like there's different like gay moves, by like which era you're living in. I feel like that's a good like 80s
lesbian
gay move to just like consistently end up in like horrible relationships with absolute like toxic, awful men as an excuse to just like not be able to be in a steady relationship. It's like I guess I can't get married. He left me again. Darn.
Does everyone know like who? I don't know how to pronounce people's names. Rhea
Perlman. Yeah.
Rhea Perlman, married to Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito, yeah.
And also a bit of trivia about like Carla's love life. She does end up with this like hockey player that is really good for her. And then the actor playing the hockey player on like some radio show, they asked him what it was like working on Cheers, and he was like, well, I have to kiss Rhea Perlman, so what do you think? And she heard about that and then like got him fired off the show, and that's why she doesn't end up with anyone.
My god.
That is horrible.
That's amazing.
Who would do that?
That's so wild.
It's so crazy. He's not like a hottie. There's no reason for him to be criticizing Rhea Perlman, but
It's also just rude.
Wow.
She like
so rude.
wasn't she in Matilda?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Was
her and
she
Danny,
in it?
Her and Danny
Yeah.
DeVito.
It's both of
That's
them,
probably
yeah.
DeVito.
Because
are the parents.
Danny
Oh, that's
DeVito
incredible.
produced the Matilda movie.
Yeah. And also, like, not only were they in Matilda, but they are, like, the most famous, I think, like, real life story of Matilda is how they are just, like, the nicest, best people who, like, took in Matilda during the movie, right? Like, and because the actress's mom had cancer at the time or something, and so they, like, basically just, like, took care of her and, like, raised her, and like they're supposed to be like the nicest people.
Yeah,
so.
in real life.
So
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying that their characters were like the nicest.
No,
but
no, no.
Oh,
I
no,
mean,
no,
I
no. I
meant
mean, the characters,
the characters are
terrible.
yeah, the characters
real
did
life
the
people.
opposite of that.
The real life
Oh,
people
that's
are supposed to be like
incredible.
super, super nice. Yeah.
I mean, I will say that every single person that I talked to that I mentioned that I was doing this Should Have Been Gay episode on Cheers was like, well, there's Rhea Perlman. So,
Well, yeah.
that is like
that's fair.
the response. And I just want to mention her outfits throughout
Yep.
the 11 seasons. A lot of polo shirts. There's one episode in the final season that I haven't seen, but I have seen pictures of her in this outfit in this episode in which she is literally wearing a rainbow striped shirt and a black vest over it. So
Love it. Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know how much gayer.
Give it to me.
you
Give
can
me
get.
more.
I need to find this
Ellie-
picture.
Ellie, I'd also be interested in your thoughts too, because I feel like if we talk about Carla as a character and like that era of time being gay, but like not just, I feel like especially with all of the characters in Cheers, it's not just being gay in the 80s, it's like being a gay Bostonian
True.
in the 80s, right?
So you're saying because I'm a gay Bostonian, I can really.
I'm saying
but
like
because
as a gay Bostonian and who also like has other
my
gay Bostonians
yeah, also
in your
yeah,
family.
my aunt.
like,
So to clarify, for people who do not know my family, my aunt is also a gay Bostonian, and she grew up in the 80s. So you're correct. I do have a little bit of, I guess, a finger on the pulse of the gay Bostonians through the ages, Lee, if that's what you're
yeah,
asking.
we need these insights.
To be fair, Carla does remind me of my aunt. I want to pull up, I like almost want to pull up a picture of her. Be like, look at her. They have the same like curly hair, a lot of that aggression. Like my aunt would talk about like beating people up a lot. That's a very like older Bostonian thing to do. I don't know if she ever went to anger management. Carla had to go to anger management in an episode I was watching recently. But yeah, I think there are a lot of similarities.
We need to like dig through closet and
My
see if we
yeah,
can find
probably
some
she could
nice
dress
Carla
as Carla
outfits.
like
Yeah.
for Halloween for sure.
Oh,
like
yeah.
she could rock it. Mess.
Amazing.
And what else from Carla? Because Sarah, you watched a million episodes. So what else did you see in the episodes that was
1
like
million, yeah.
1 million episodes? Yeah.
Well, I just think that the sexual tension between Carla and Diane,
Mm.
I feel like is really, it very much could be interpreted that way. Like she, Carla is always criticizing Diane, like they're kind of at each other's throats, very similarly to the way that Sam and Diane are like always bickering and stuff. So I'm like, we could really reroute this, and this could really be all about Carla and Diane. There's an episode where Carla plays a prank on Diane and says that one of her kids is Sam's kid, and Diane's like really upset about that, and we tend to assume that that's because of Sam, but
Could be
the other way
Carla.
around.
I like it. The twist.
There's lots of stuff like that. When Sam and Diane get engaged, Carla like is in denial, and then she like has a freak out, and it's like, again, like we think that's because she like cares about Sam, but she could really have feelings in the other department.
Someone
Definitely Diane.
somewhere has written this fan fiction, right? I assume AO3
For sure.
is just bursting at the seams with Cheers, Carla and Diane fanfic for us. And if it's not yet, I expect people are getting started right now.
Please do it. Wait,
I
it
ha-
totally is. I found
Is it really? Yeah.
I mean, it has to exist.
It was not that hard to find.
This is gonna be so much better than me having to ever watch an episode of Cheers. I will just go read all the fan fiction. That'll be great. I had to look it up after you said that she got the actor kicked off the show. Can I read a little bit of what I just discovered about how he left the show? Because it will bring up like a tiny little minor point in the gay column for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the hockey player was named Eddie, and it says Eddie and Carla married in the show's 6th season after it was revealed that Carla was pregnant with twins. They remained together until Eddie was killed by a Zamboni while attempting to save the life of the team's mascot in the 8th season. At the funeral, it was revealed that he had cheated on Carla while away with the ice show that he had joined after being released from the Bruins. So I would just like to say that in terms of how you get the actor that, like, you know, like, just totally shit all over you in an interview, how you get him kicked off the show
Is to get killed by a Zamboni. Yeah, it's pretty
petty
savage.
AF, and we know the gays love petty, so like I am here for it. Love this. Love the ending of that story. What a queen.
What a Boston demise.
Killed
So
by a
funny.
Zamboni.
Incredible.
Yeah, that's a lot. There was another quote that I had from Carla that I also liked. I just feel like she's always like talking to the people, to the regulars at the bar, and like giving them advice on their love lives, but like giving them advice about women. Like, here's what women like, or like what women want, or here's the type of women you're like, you shouldn't date. And you're like, you know too much about this, Carla, and you're too invested in like these rules about dating women. So she says, there's no fun in dating pretty girls. You can't eat Italian because they're always on diets. You can't take them to a hockey game because they'll get hit by a puck. There were like a few other things in between, but she very much like acts like she has experience dating these women.
She's like, man, they never want Italians.
Yeah,
hot
she's like,
girls. I'll
oh,
tell you
oh
what.
yeah, hot girls. Whenever I'm dating a hot girl, they don't want to go to the hockey games with me. And you're like, Carlo, are you telling on yourself? Like, she tells on herself, I feel like, a lot. But yeah, Carla is quite gay. What about the other regulars at the bar? You think Norm's
Frasier,
gay?
come on. It has to be said. Someone has to say it, right?
Wait, is Frasier not gay?
Well, that right?
He's literally not.
He's not.
No, it's so weird.
But that's the thing. But it's like for a character who went on to have a successful spinoff, where like the endless running nonstop gag of Frasier as a show. I mean, like the whole show is based on like, isn't it funny that this guy and his brother are not gay despite every indication otherwise? Like that's it. That's Frasier in a nutshell. It's like, sure, he has a talk show and when whatever, but like mostly it's like, oh my god, he likes good food and wine instead of a beer. He must be gay, and yet somehow he just keeps wanting to date women. Like that's so.
see it.
Just make him gay. Just
I
make him
thought
gay.
Frasier was gay already, so I'm just like not surprised by that.
He is not supposed to be gay. But listen, as far as other characters who I know nothing about, but will draw all of my information.
I'm so
from what
excited
I've seen-
for this.
From what I've seen of Frasier, is that Frasier also has, well, they must be married at some point on Cheers. I don't know. But Lilith, who's his ex-wife on Frasier, is also like a more repeated character, I think, in Cheers. And again, like you could make a successful argument, I think, for Frasier and Lilith being each other's beards, right? Because like Frasier,
Absolutely.
pretty gay. Lilith is like the quintessential like stuck up ice queen, stuffy, like very kind of like frigid and unpleasant to all men everywhere, you know. Come on. That's a beard relationship right there.
The first episode that Lilith is in Cheers, it has her, you know, like stuck up, like buttoned up aesthetic, and
Mhm.
Diane tries to help her, like gives her a makeover to be more, to like try and woo Frasier and be like more femme. And then Frasier's like, I don't care about that. If I'm That's all. But it's like the two of them, like, there's no doubt in my mind. There's actually no doubt. Like not
Lilith
even
does love a power suit. Like she loves a blazer.
Yeah. And not even in this alternate universe that we're talking about, like literally in the actual original Cheers, like they're both gay and they'll realize it eventually. But they actually have to be, you know.
They have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not even a stretch, like at all. But you think Norm is also gay?
I would say Norm and Cliff are definitely gay.
Oh, they're in love.
They're in love. Norm, so for one, Norm hates his wife. He says in like every episode, he complains about his wife constantly. That's like his whole bit is that he doesn't want to have to spend time with his wife. And then he also obviously has like a lot of this internalized homophobia going on that kind of all comes to a head in the Boys in the Bar episode, which ends with the two gay guys kissing him on each cheek, and that's the last frame of the episode and they never talk about it again. So in the queer alternate universe, I think what we'd all like to see is like the rest of that scene play out, and Norm is like, oh yeah, I'm gay and now I'm gonna have a relationship with this man that just kissed me on the cheek because I've discovered myself. That doesn't happen. But I do definitely think that Norm and Cliff have this romance thing going on. Like, they spend so much time together. They're best friends. Cliff moves into Norm's house with him at one point. Just, it doesn't get gayer than that.
Plus, can you imagine if that had been the first gay representation? Because, like, Cliff would have been a great, like, 80s bear on TV, right? Like, what a world to live in.
Groundbreaking. Wait, what were you going to say, Sarah, about Norm and Cliff?
Oh, that there is an episode where they have like a third friend. I don't remember who is jealous and who has the friend, but there's like a third friend that's hanging out in the bar, and the other guy is like all pissed that they have another guy around. Also, I was just watching a scene where Diane's leaving for Europe and she like says bye to Cliff and Norm, and she's like aren't you guys gonna, like, I'm waiting for like a kiss goodbye, and both of them are like, oh okay, and they kiss each other instead
on the lips.
I have to imagine they didn't. I can't remember.
I feel like
that would
that's
have been
a lot
crazy
for like 80s TV. Right?
That would have been insane.
Yeah.
That would have like shut down the cable network. But then also there's one episode where Cliff makes a joke about some sort of like magazine that he had that had like nude male sculptures in it. And everyone's like, why did you have that? And he's like, just like for the pictures. They're just like nice to look at. And it was like literally the joke that he was gay, but they don't talk about it again.
I mean, that's also like when you have these shows in the 80s, like that's the only way that they talk about gay shit is by joking about it, which is like really frustrating, right? Where you're just like, they might have actually, like, I don't know if they kissed on the lips, but like when we talked about, Laverne and Shirley is not in the 80s, but when we talked about Laverne and Shirley, there's a kiss between Laverne and Shirley. And it's like, they kiss, but it's like a joke, right? Like anytime like any characters have like gay moments, it's always played off as like, oh, that's hilarious, because like that could never happen. But it's like, no, they're together.
In Roseanne, they have the first lesbian kiss on like primetime TV or something like that, and it's like there's a laugh track after it, and it's like someone's girlfriend kisses Roseanne, and Roseanne's like, and then yeah, it's all comedy.
Yep, it's all for the.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. And as we head into Thanksgiving time, I want to start by thanking my wife, Kelsey, who has not only listened to just about every episode of this podcast for 8 seasons now, but who also is the only reason I'm able to make time to record it every week. She takes the kids, gets them dinner, and gets them ready for bed just so that Ellie and I can come on and yell about gay things into each other's faces for an hour. So here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people you're grateful for in your life, including yourself. I've been in therapy for a long time now, and one thing that's so important about therapy is how it teaches you to be more intentional. And being intentional about gratitude and how to show that to the people you appreciate is just one of the many benefits that I've gotten from therapy over the years. If you've been thinking of starting therapy, consider giving BetterHelp a try. I know how hard it can be to find time for regular therapy, and BetterHelp is designed to be flexible and convenient for your schedule. You can fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to start being more intentional about gratitude in your life, visit betterhelp.com/letshangout today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/letshangout.
Let's hang out.
For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm. For many businesses, the holiday season can be both an exciting and stressful time. With so many balls in the air, one thing you definitely want to know you can rely on is how you're selling your products. And with Shopify, you can rest easy knowing it's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Nobody does selling better than Shopify. And when it comes to successful brands like Aloe, Allbirds, or Skims, an often overlooked secret is all the things that go on behind the scenes that make selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, if you take a peek behind that curtain, you'll see that Shopify is what makes it all possible. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, so that's more happy customers and way more sales going. It's true all the time, but especially this time of year, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use for Realm merch with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
This episode is brought to you by Skinny Pop Popcorn. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Oh, so light and crunchy. Skinny Pop Original Popcorn is the snack you've been searching for. Made with just 3 simple ingredients: popcorn kernels, sunflower oil, and salt. Snacking never felt or tasted so good. Perfectly popped, endlessly delicious. Give yourself permission to snack and pick up Skinny Pop Original Popcorn today.
Laughs. Let's actually talk. I want to dig more into the boys in the bar because that's like their big gay episode. So, what do we think about that episode in general? Sarah, you were like, you learned about it in your class. Like, what did you guys talk about when you talked in your class about this episode?
I mean, I feel like we kind of talked about the context of it and it being. I don't think that it's the first. I don't know the actual like record that it broke, but it's something along the lines of like the first openly gay character on a show or something like that. And we did critique a lot. I mean, like we were just saying, it's like the gays are the butt of the joke and throughout the entire episode, and like the homophobia from the regulars and stuff is the butt of the joke. But at least for like, I feel like I understand that is like you couldn't have a serious. I just don't think anyone would consume at that time, or most people wouldn't consume a like serious, respectful episode like that. And I'm interested to know. I don't know if anyone's done more research into this. Like, what is the story of the writers or like the people that decided to make this episode? Have you guys looked into that? Like, why did they do this?
I was reading a little bit about, I'm not sure what the like initial inspiration behind the episode was, and I was reading a little bit about how like there was a lot of pushback from the kind of the network about airing this episode, and it was like the creative team and actually like the cast of the show that really like fought for the episode to happen and to air, and were like, I guess, passionate about. I think it was kind of like the most representation that they could get past by the network.
Yeah, I think too, when I was reading, it was because one of the LA Dodgers, Glenn Burke, came out. And so they were like doing it to like be relevant to some things that had happened in like the media, or like that had happened in like the general pop culture. And so that's why like when they wrote the episode, it was about like one of Sam's friends who came out, and like what would that be like for this like macho dude running a bar to have his friend come out, and like how are they going to get over like the homophobia, because that clearly is like the big thing, right? Like most of the bar regulars were like, we don't want the gays in here. Like, they're going to turn this bar gay and like turn all of us gay. And you're like, that's like not. And there's like a few people who are like the voice of not homophobia, right? Like Diane, who's like, can you guys not be bigots? But like generally it's like told through the lens of like, oh, it'd be horrible if Cheers turned into a gay bar. And that's like, would it actually be that bad? No. Then we would have seasons 2 through 11 and they'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even just to like do as like a staying relevant with the times episode, like that is a ballsy move for a show in its first season in like and I mean the early 80s at this point. Like that's wild.
Yeah. And it's also like I was reading a little bit about this surrounding that episode as well. Like it's 1982, 1983. It's like the beginning of the AIDS epidemic, and there's so much ignorance and misinformation surrounding, like there are still like everyday people walking around thinking that like you can catch AIDS from like being in the same room or like touching a gay person. And so like that's the world into which this episode is being aired, and it's obviously like super problematic and super dated today, but I do think like at the time, at the end of the day, it was pretty progressive and it was a pretty ballsy move. And the takeaway at the end of the episode is that Sam realizes, like, comes to his senses and puts his foot down and is like, no, Cheers is for everyone. Like, we can't kick the gay people out. So
Yeah, which like ultimately is like, this is a space for everyone.
And it probably was, I mean, I'm sure it was really accurate to what the way that people would have reacted to that sort of thing at that time. And honestly, like, still might in some Boston pubs if a bunch of gay people started, if they had the risk of becoming a gay bar, like that's not really that out of the realm. So that's also sort of like, I come to peace a little bit with the homophobia in it, because it's like they're trying to reflect reality.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because yeah, like those like macho Boston men are definitely like, yeah, gonna have a certain way that they're talking about all of the gay stuff.
It's also funny though, given that like, I mean, Cheers, I feel like still now, like even people who have never, people like me who have never watched an episode, where it's like, there is still like a mythology around Cheers, you know, where it's like people know the song, people kind of know what it's about, people like know where you can go and find like where are the bars that have been like turned into the Cheers bars in various cities and stuff like that. Like it's still wild to me that like that idea of like the value and importance of like, here is my bar with my people and like my regulars and my space, that it's like we still are dealing with like straight people who can't understand like, why aren't gay bars for me in 2021? And you're like, come on people, we can understand this. Like it's not that hard to wrap our heads around. Like you made a whole 11 seasons of a show devoted to like literally just that idea.
Yeah.
And yet here we are.
yeah, I do think that even for people who haven't really seen any of Cheers, the bar is kind of this like cultural reference point of the quintessential neighborhood bar. Like I cannot tell you the number of people that we met on our trip, like regulars at their local lesbian bar, who said like word for word, this is my Cheers and I'm Norm. Like
Literally.
Oh my god.
No,
literally,
they
like,
really said like you had a lot of norms.
we had,
multiple.
I would say three norms, and then maybe like 50% of bars, at least someone said this is like Cheer. It's the queer Cheers.
I love
Which-
that.
Yeah.
And I like that really like no other characters, just Norm.
Well, because Norm's character trait is the regular there.
okay,
that
yeah,
has
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Like
And
he walks in and everyone's like, "Hey, Norm!" So that's the yeah, that's the like the character type that they're going for. Yeah.
Were any of the people working there like, I'm Carla?
Oh my
Are there-
god,
No.
I
That'd be
never heard
funny
that.
though.
That'd be
Well,
so funny.
There's like another, I know you don't want Sam to be gay, but there's another stereotype of lesbian that I feel like Sam fits into, even though it's problematic. And that is that like lesbian bartender who like thinks she's hot shit and can get anyone she wants. And so like there are a lot of misogynistic lesbians out there. Not saying that's okay, but like I can envision that type of bartender as like a queer woman who just like really like flirts with every person at the bar, has slept with like all of the regulars. Like
Ellie,
that
as someone
is
who just played a gay bartender, is this did this inform
no,
your
that is
character
not.
work at all?
No, that is not. That's not Jamie, but that is like there are. I know the type. I know the type. I've seen
Yeah.
him.
For
Seen
sure.
him out.
In the Queer Cheers remake, I definitely think Sam should be a woman. A womanizing
Oh,
woman.
for sure. For sure. But like maybe like just slightly less, you know? The Sam bartender still like ask for consent for all the women they're hitting on. You know what I mean? Like they're just like constantly hitting on women, but they're still like, "But are you into this?" And if you are, then I'm going to like double down rather than the like, "I'm going to break into your house and carry you to the bed." Like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but like
That
with
sounds good.
consent. Like they'll like call before and they're like, "I'm coming over. I'm going to carry you into bed.
We're
Is that
gonna
okay?"
role play.
Yeah, like, "Is that okay with you? See you soon." And then we're like, "Yes, we're here for this." Or it's like, I mean, not the Shane, because Shane is so problematic, but it's like the Shane archetype.
It totally is. It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Shane.
It's the Shane archetype. So hard. Yeah, I cannot with the hair. I mean, even that haircut, like, you don't have to change what Sam looks like. Just like, you know, that swoopy haircut. It'll work.
And his shirts. He has the best shirts. So those
What
can
are some
stay.
of your favorite Sam shirts? Did he also wear a rainbow shirt?
No, but he wears a lot of like colorful like rugby style shirts with like the collar and the 3 buttons. He had one that is like white and purple that I would love to own. That's my most recent favorite.
That is a very queer outfit. The
Yeah.
like 3 button down. That's very gay.
I feel like I'm glad I don't want to go back and watch it now because I feel like Sam is going to really disappoint me for how much I love Ted Danson.
Yeah, I think
I'm not
that's
sure if I want to go back.
You shouldn't. I would not recommend it.
Okay, good.
Don't.
Good. I feel good about this.
just keep Ted Danson how he is in your mind.
I'll
now.
just rewatch The Good Place. It's
Yeah,
better
yeah,
that
yeah.
way.
It
I
is
do
definitely-
remember him talking about, like, in a more recent interview, how different he was from the character of Sam. And he wasn't even, I didn't even know at the time, I didn't realize in the interview, like, that Sam was so problematic. But as far as just, like, being sort of outgoing and smooth talking and a womanizer, he was like, I'm literally so shy, I'm not like him at all. So that gave me a little bit of
I
Yeah,
mean,
little-
I can buy it because I think Ted Danson is a fantastic actor. So I'm just gonna create my own little reality where this is all real, and I'm happier this way.
Hasn't he also been married to his wife for like a really long time? Mary Steenburgen.
Yes,
Oh,
Bergen.
yeah.
yes. Who
Yeah.
we love from Happiest Season, even though we hate Happiest Season.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's very good in that.
Yeah. She's great in everything. But they're very cute because they're also the 2 of them are in Curb Your Enthusiasm. They play themselves. It's ridiculous. But yes. All right. So who else at the bar is gay? So if we reimagine Sam as our gay bartender, we have Carla super gay. What about Diane? I know you talked about Carla and Diane, but like Diane herself, what do we think of her as a queer character?
I think there's a very strong case to be made for Diane as a bisexual. She went to Bennington College. She definitely
Case closed.
She definitely experimented. And I, like Sarah was saying, like, I do think there's a lot of sexual tension between Carla and Diane, and it goes both ways. I have a couple quotes from Carla from Diane that I wrote down talking to Carla in like season 1 and 2. At one point, Carla says, "What's the big deal? You want some excitement? You pay a sexy woman to jump out of a cake." And Diane is like walking by and she goes, "Or if you want to save a little money, you could get Carla to do it," which I think is just pretty loaded.
I am finding this fanfic. I'm on a mission now. Listen, these have to be out there. It's right there. It's low-hanging fruit. Someone has written this for me.
Diane also, like in the first episode, I was just so struck by the fact that like her whole thing in the first episode is that she's engaged to this man and she's about to get married to him and he leaves her for his ex-wife like the day they're about to get married. That entire storyline to me was so gay. That was like the like queer person who's like, "Yeah, that's my ex," but like and they're like, "Oh yeah, like we never talk, but like, you know, I'm just going to go clear the air with her." And then like 2 days later they're like, "So we got back together." And you're like, "What the hell?" Like, and so like that was a very queer interaction. But I also feel like that was like her first queer relationship. And she was like, that just got her real jaded, right? She jumped straight into it. She was like, this person's so worldly and amazing. And she jumped right into it and she was like, let's get married. And then like her working at Cheers is her like figuring out all of her shit from square one.
Yeah. She's like, the best thing to do now, work at this gay bar, this lovely gay bar that I've stumbled into. And then I'll really figure my shit out.
Exactly. She's like, and I'm going to find new queer friends and I'm going to date the hot queer bartender because, like, what else would I do? That's Diane. Also, what season did she leave the show? Because she's not in it for the whole thing, right?
5. The end of 5.
They broke up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened between Sam and Diane?
Actually,
Tell us
insane.
the story.
Okay, no, that last season, I actually could not even tell you what was going on with them because it was so weird. Like, he proposed at the end of season 4. He proposes to her.
How much of this show did you watch?
I did jump around, but I would say a total of 3 seasons.
I'm so impressed.
Okay, so he proposes to her. She says no. Then she proposes to him. He says no. And then she just decides, like, okay, I'm going to get you to say yes eventually. She spends, like, a lot of that last season just, like, talking to Sam, like, referring to their wedding. And he's like, we're not together. And she's like, so when we get married, like, should we do this? It's so strange. And there's, like, lots of times where they, like, get together and then they're, like, they fight again in that last season. Eventually, she has to choose between her writing and marrying Sam because she cannot do both. So she chooses her writing.
She can't do both because misogyny or what?
Because how's she going to do that if she settles down? She becomes a mom. You can't do both.
So yes.
Yeah, misogyny.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Understandable. I mean, also what you just said, he proposed to her, she proposed to him. Double proposal. Classically gay move.
Classic gay.
Lee, did you do a double proposal?
We did not do a double proposal officially, no. Sort of.
What did you do? Why do I not know the story?
It is wild that you don't know the story.
Or maybe I do and I just have the brain of an elephant. Do elephants have long-lasting brains? Long-lasting memories?
Elephants
goldfish.
have very long memories.
Okay, goldfish.
Have very short memories. We did a agreement that we would get engaged at some point, but that she would propose. Because I am far less patient. You've known me a long time, Ellie.
Oh, I do know the proposal story.
Yes. It would be better if we waited until she was ready and she proposed.
Because you would have just jumped the gun.
I would have been like, let's do it now. You want to just get married now? Let's just do it. Yeah.
Okay. Also very gay. But I was just curious. But I remember the story now. So I won't tell it again, but I remember the story.
But yes, double proposal.
Cape Cod, right? You were in Cape Cod?
Gay culture. We were in Cape Cod.
Yeah,
yes.
okay, now I remember it.
On Cape Cod?
She's back.
Cape Cod.
On Cape Cod. On Cape.
I've just never been able to bring myself to say it.
I know.
In
Also,
Cape Cod.
In
down,
Cape Cod?
Down the Cape.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
Really?
I literally, for all of our listeners, I literally just made my arm in the shape of Cape Cod.
Oh, yeah. I understood.
We were in Sandwich, Massachusetts.
Which part of the Cape are you on? Here, tell me.
Not very far, but yeah. Sandwich is pretty close to Boston still.
Yeah, right over the bridge. I know it.
Well. We're aware.
I know. For all Massachusetts people here, besides Lee. But close enough.
I lived there for a very long time, okay?
Yeah, but you weren't born here.
I wasn't. That's true.
Honorary. Back to the gay at hand. Before we go to which characters are we shipping, because there's lots of different combinations we've talked about. Any other moments of Cheers that you were like, this was super gay? I know you have notes, and I want to make sure. I don't want to get the notes to waste, you know?
This is not gay in the sense of, like, my experience of being gay, but when Diane and Sam break up, like around season 3, Diane goes to a mental hospital. And I just felt that was maybe somehow related to her being gay.
Okay,
you know?
so you think she's like dealing with some internal trauma and she was like, I need to check myself into this facility because I'm dealing with this trauma from my queer relationship, or I'm dealing with like my own sexuality?
No, I think it was like related to the time, like early 1980s, like, and she is questioning her sexuality, and she checks herself into the mental hospital because she's like, I'm clearly crazy because I think that I like women.
And that's why she broke up with Sam.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I can vibe on that.
Is this when she dates Frasier?
That's how she meets Frasier, yeah.
Okay. Because I also
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like I could see that being like a great like chaotic bi character move to like date your therapist. Like that's some like L word shit right there.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
PSA,
Rachel?
friends, do not date your therapist.
Don't date your therapist.
Messy.
Would not
Don't
recommend.
do it.
I was just gonna say, Diane also in like the first or the second season talks about how she used to throw Renaissance poetry parties or something like that in college, which feels a little gay. And then she
Yeah.
goes on to say that she always, they were costume parties, and she always dressed up as Dr. Faustus because that was her favorite. And Dr. Faustus is very gay, and that's just a very gay thing to do. So
I do have a lot of friends who are like very obsessed with Renaissance Fair, like queer friends. So, and it's just like, you know, Halloween, gay Christmas, like dressing up as something that like feeling like you can be someone else for the day. Very gay.
yeah,
I bet you there was just a bunch of queer women at those poetry readings.
100%. Bennington was
Reading-
also no longer a women's college, but had just recently become a co-ed college at the time.
We
So,
know about women's
think
colleges,
you,
right, Lee?
think you know what's going on there.
We all know what's going on at women's colleges. Come on.
A very specific choice to go to a women's college.
It's also, like, again, I haven't seen the show, but here's my impression of Diane, which is that it is, again, one of these characters who, like, only exists. You love it, Ellie. You love when I do this.
I know. It's just like you're just hilarious because you're so like if I cut out haven't seen the show in the edit, people will be like, yeah, Lee's seen the show. Like you're so like confident.
I am confident.
But keep saying what you're saying. Keep saying what you're saying.
This is how I get by at work, okay? You just gotta sound like you know what you're talking about. So
It's a very impressive skill.
as someone who has seen every single episode of Cheers, I just really feel like Diane to me sounds like every one of those characters, especially in this era of TV where like they only exist as defined or consumed by or in relation to the men around them, right? And for us, every time we watch all of these with our wiser, gayer eyes, you're always like, wow, you know, an easy, like, surefire go-to way to make that character more interesting to me is, like, take out the men and just make them gay. Just make them gay and, like, actually write a character and, like, give them a personality and a story of their own, preferably where they're gay. That's what I feel like Diane would be for me if I actually watched the show, is a character who just is a shell of a human who is there for, like, the male gaze, or let me have a bad relationship with one of you over and over again to, like, create drama in the show. I'm over it. Make them gay.
For those of you who have watched more of the show, do you agree that Diane doesn't have a lot of purpose besides the men?
I think that something that actually is kind of lesbian about her is that she like puts the men in their place, and I feel like I don't think I agree.
Wow, I mean, I have seen so much of this show, and it is wild to me that I could.
So we're just having like this is just two people having an educated debate about something that we both know a lot about.
Know so much about.
Yeah,
as the two premier experts on Cheers in the world.
Yes.
We can agree to disagree, Sarah. It's fine. It's okay.
That's fine.
I'm okay with
That's fine with me.
Your character analysis of a character you've never seen. I love it.
So, Rachel, which side are you on?
I think I agree with you, Sarah, that she has a decent amount of agency.
Wow.
But I will say, I agree that it would be a way more interesting show if you took all the men out of her relationships. Like, those are boring.
Yeah.
Valid.
And it's actually what is like kind of similar to what you're saying is that she still does give in to Sam in the end, which makes no sense. And then her storyline is about her relationship with Sam, who just treated her shittily for however many years. Like that she does like give in to them. And actually everyone gives in to Sam in the end with like no logic behind it at all.
Listen, I would be shocked to discover that my analysis based solely on skimming the fandom.com description of her character could be anything but the truth.
I'm
Wild,
so shocked.
wild
I'm so shocked as
accusations
well.
right here.
You should just cut this. Go back to what Lee said, and then just like let that roll. As fact.
Let it go. Let it go.
Oh no, this has to stay in.
No, it's
It
missing.
has to be in. Look, all I'm saying is the page does have an awful lot about men, more so than I learned anything about her as a character.
But I think that's also just like what it like if you think of like any show in the 80s, like the female characters are like, even if they have like their own personality and like that personality is like, let me tell the men off, like still their storylines tend to weave around like who they're dating more so than like what they're doing. But I like that like Diane chose her career over a man. So good for her.
Feminist icon.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that Cheers was doing like as problematic as it was doing some interesting things for the time, which is why people have like still talk about it and love it. I have one final question for everyone, which is just like, let's say we're not talking about Cheers. We're talking about a remake of Cheers that's gay. What are, especially from like you all going to all these lesbian bars, who are like the types of characters that you came across? Like what are the archetypes you think would exist in a queer Cheers?
Okay, so you've got the first character that comes to mind for me is like, we actually met like multiple people that were like, oh yeah, everyone calls me daddy around here.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's
Sounds
like
right.
that sort of like, I don't even know what else to say. It's like butch, and you like are like buying drinks for everyone, and you're always there. That's like, that would be maybe the norm. Is like a
Norm
a
is a gay daddy. I love it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rachel, what do you have any to add?
You definitely have your one token straight person who's just an ally who like
Yes.
works
Oh, yeah.
at the bar
Yes.
because they feel
Yeah.
passionately about the LGBTQ community.
My question though is like, do they come out
Yeah.
eventually? Like, are they actually straight, or are they just like a straight person who loves hanging out with?
It depends on how many seasons the show lasts for.
True.
On
Once
the
you get to
Netflix
11
run,
seasons,
they do not come out.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. In the first season, they won't.
Maybe
come
the
out.
Showtime reboot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then
Yeah.
I think you have your softball lesbian that like is like always hitting up the pool table, and like, this is basically, I'm describing our third producer who's not here right now, Jen, that like just like I describe her like this in the podcast, like the hype man that's like pumped to be there and like get it, and is like super competitive about like pool and darts and that sort of thing.
And then you have your bar owner who is almost always like an elder queer who has like a lot of good stories and is a parental kind of figure for the bar and the community. And what else?
Tough love. They have tough love.
Yeah, tough love. They always
long
have tough
time,
love.
Long time partner, like partnered for a long time.
You all know Lisa from Henrietta's, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly who I envision. Like, that is like my archetype of like a queer bar owner. She's like so like.
She's an amazing character.
She's an incredible
it's insane.
character. Yeah.
I'm like,
she is
who
wild.
gave us the gift of your voice? Like, literally.
Yeah.
Like, thank you.
Hey, girls. Welcome back to Henrietta's. We love having you here.
That was pretty
You're
good.
like, what is happening?
Ellie, who would you add? Who would you put in the bar?
Oh my god. Well, you have to have a DJ. Like, you have to have like the queer music person, right?
Mm-hmm.
You definitely have to have the DJ. I feel like you have to have like a small group of baby gays.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they always come in a pack. Like, it's not one baby gay by themselves, right? It's like 3 baby gays that come every week all together, and they're like constantly like, oh, like trying to like hook up with someone random. You know what I mean? So like every time you see them, they're just like, they're chaos, just like pure chaos. This like little ball of 3 that are like basically like, I don't want to say the mean girls because they're not mean, but like that kind of like vibe of like that like trio of friends who have their own personalities, but also like are so much a unit.
Mm-hmm.
We love the baby gays. I'm like, that would be me in college.
There's also like maybe a random straight older male off of the street that comes
Who's
in every single day.
surprised? Oh, who
Oh,
comes
yeah.
in every single day?
That was like a couple places they're like, oh well, we do have a regular here. It's like this army guy sitting at the bar. Who knows if he knows where he is or not? But there's that.
That.
He's there though, and he's hanging.
I know. There's so many different types of characters you could have. And there could be some, like, it'd be such a good show. You could also have, like, so many different types of episodes where, like, random, like, things happen and certain characters come in. I mean, obviously you have a Pride episode, a Halloween episode. Like, there's so many, like, big gay events that you could, like, surround episodes.
I want to pitch a recurring character for our show, Ellie, is the gay moms who never go out anymore, but they just, like, occasionally, like, just, you know...
So you're the gay moms.
Yeah, every like 5-10 episodes they get like a babysitter for the night and like they get to show up
Oh,
to the
and they
bar.
go wild. Actually, that's a great episode. The gay moms go wild.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Your entire like gay mom group comes out for the night. And then like there's all sorts of chaos ensues too, because like you're getting phone calls from the babysitter. One of you
we can't
like
handle more than one drink anymore.
Pumping their breast milk in the corner, you know.
They definitely get way too drunk. Like they've lost all sense of their limits.
Yes. 100%.
Listen, it happens, okay?
And the Queer Cheers really is a perfect vehicle for like a slew of holiday special episodes, because something else that we heard from like a lot of bars is that like they're open on Christmas, they're open on Thanksgiving, they're open on Easter, like all the holidays, and it's like a big thing for folks that don't necessarily have like families to be with and celebrate with. Like a lot of these bars do like Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, like stuff like that. So for the show.
I love that.
I know, that just gave me chills. God damn it. It's so cute. And I do love that yeah, you could really emphasize like the found family even more, of like, not because Norm hates his wife and doesn't want to go home, but like literally these people don't have families that support them. This is their family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how do we option the flame into a running series, Ellie?
To be fair, we can definitely do that, Lee. We'll talk later. But for sure, it needs to be made. I really do wish that there was a gay bar show. Like, why isn't there?
It would actually be really good. It would actually be so good.
It'd be really good.
I don't know if there... Should I look it up?
Listen, we had Dawn Denbo and her lover Cindy, and I think that right now that's the best we can ask for.
I guess you're right. Like, the L Word has the planet and has She-Bar. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dawn Denbo.
Wait, Rachel, tell them, who was it that we saw on our trip that we met?
Was it Dawn Denbo and her lover Cindy?
No, it was Jacqueline Tobani. Is that who you're talking about, Sarah? From
the L Word person that we met, yeah.
That L Word, the L Word reboot.
Yeah.
What bar was she at?
It wasn't at a bar.
It wasn't a bar.
We were just at a cafe in LA, and we were like, we have to talk to her. We have to give her our card. So I like cornered her in the bathroom, and I was like, hey, this is our card. It also helps that I don't watch the reboot of the L Word, so I was like actually more chill than that. I was just like, I gave her a card, and I was like, you could give us a follow, like I could give you a follow, blah blah blah. And
You're like, I know you need follows too. Like,
yeah. Like you would love to have this like small podcast follow you. And she was she gave us a lot. Like she gave me like recommendations for places to see in the rest of our trip, which is going to be like the southern states after that, and she seemed excited about it but didn't follow us, so that wasn't real. I know.
That's okay. It still sounds really nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
I'm like, gay people are the best, but you know, sometimes they're not, but most of the time they are. I just don't want to be like, blanket statement, all gay actors are amazing, but every person, I feel like any actor we've met has been pretty awesome. So, which characters are we shipping? So, I'll start. I want to ship Cliff and Norm. And their ship name is...
I'm really excited for this.
North. That's it. Otherwise, I feel like Chlorm sounds really weird.
Yeah, it's not a lot of good options there.
I don't know their last names, so
I
I
don't
can't
know
give
any
you
of their
anything
last
else.
names. I was just realizing this.
Yeah. Sarah, who do
Uh,
you ship? I know you have a very intense ship that we've talked about.
Oh yeah. So you've got your Diane and Carla, and that's just got to be Darla.
Yep.
Done.
Brings
Done.
up memories of the little girl from Finding Nemo with the fish tank.
Oh, I was gonna
But,
say
like, it's a
Buffy,
great
but
name.
like whatever your Darla
yeah.
association
Either.
is.
Works.
Both. What about you, Rachel? Top ship.
Yeah, it's Carla and Diane for me as well, and Darla ultimately I think is the ship name, but
Yeah.
if we're going last names, I would say Chartelli is a close second
Ooh,
for me.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Lee, how about you?
We haven't talked about it at all, but I'm just gonna throw it out there because I know none of these characters. So I'm gonna say Lilith and Carla,
Diane. Oh.
or Lilith and Diane. I could go either way. I don't really
Well,
care.
I
Just
feel like
Lilith and a woman.
Yeah, Lilith
Yeah,
and Diane
yeah.
had their makeover, like had their basically like
Oh,
popular.
that's true.
Their
They did
wicked
have the
moment.
makeover.
So I would say Lilith and Diane. Lillian.
Lillian. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go with that. That's my new ship. You know.
Cool.
No Sam shippers. Sam is out of all the ships. Goodbye, Sam.
Bye.
Sorry.
We ship Ted Danson with his in real life wife. There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah, agreed.
One other thing, I just have to say this. I was just on my notes. There was a sequence of Sam and Diane both slapping each other back and forth. And it was just comedy. And they were both slapping each other. That's it.
And you're saying that
Just crazy.
that's gay,
I'm just
or
saying
you
that
liked it?
Sam needs to be canceled immediately.
Oh, yeah. I cannot with this man. All right, so I think we can all agree Cheers should have been
Should have
gay.
been gay.
Should
Should
have
have been
been.
gay.
It's time for our Q and gay. Are you ready?
Q and gay.
All right, so question number 1. Do you have a local gay or lesbian bar? Yes or no?
We can answer
Yes.
the same thing, which is that Ginger's, the Brooklyn bar, just reopened. Rachel knows more about that than I do.
I don't
But yes.
have a ton of information, but yeah, I'm like walking distance from Ginger's in Brooklyn. It just reopened this week after being closed for the whole pandemic. So we're really
Amazing.
excited about that.
Amazing.
And Cubbyhole and Henrietta's as well.
So many. You're so lucky.
I know. Question 2. Who was the gayest character on Cheers out of A, Carla, B, Frasier, C, Norm, or D, Cliff?
Okay, ready, Rach? 1, 2, 3.
Frasier.
Carla.
Damn.
I
Both
like
good
that you both had a
answers.
different
A
answer.
plus
yeah.
work, everyone.
Yeah. All right, question number 3. How many gay/lesbian bars have you visited? A, 0 to 4, B, 5 to 9, C, 10 to 15, or D, 16 plus?
D.
16 plus, baby.
Truly
Incredible.
impressive. Snaps for that. Question 4, very important. Have you read any Carla Diane fanfic? Yes or no?
I haven't, but that's just right now. Ask me again tomorrow.
Not yet. I'm gonna add a not yet option.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet, but I know what I'm going to do after I get
There
off
you
soon.
go.
You gotta find it.
We like the initiative.
All right, question number 5. What do you order at the bar? A, beer, B, margarita, C, shots, or D, water?
Should I expose myself, Rachel?
Do it.
Yeah, expose yourself.
I mean, on our trip, I was D. I was a hard
Water.
D. I did a lot of like sober interviewing and then smoking on the patio, and I was limiting my intake.
That's honestly smart. Good for you.
I did a lot of non-alcoholic beer and mezcal margaritas, depending on
Very
the mood.
nice.
On the trip,
Nice.
at least. Yeah.
As you all know, you can answer our Q and gay questions on our Twitter. Thank you so much, Rachel and Sarah. This was an absolute blast. Thank you for hanging out with us and talking all kinds of Cheers Should Have Been Gay.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much for having us.
Thanks for having us. This was so fun.
Tell all of our listeners, where can they find you? Where can they find the podcast? On socials, on everything.
You can stream our podcast Cruising wherever you get your podcasts. It's still kind of hard to find because we just launched and We don't have a huge listenership yet, so if you search one of our names with the podcast, then it will definitely come up. You won't be disappointed. And then you can follow us on all social medias, Cruising Pod. So CRUISINGPOD.
And it's also available at www.cruisingpod.com.
Make sure you check it out. So exciting. Thank you yet again for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys.
Let me hear you say hip, 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 well, yeah.
We love hearing from all of you, and we love continuing to build this community, so we just like to shout out some of our favorite things that we've heard from you every episode. And this week, we want to shout out one of our listeners, Grace, who wrote us the most lovely email telling us how they found the podcast, how much they've enjoyed it, and enjoyed the flame, which, I mean, we are merely human. We love hearing it. But also shouting out, like, what the podcast means in their life, and sending in a whole bunch of recommendations for Should Have Been Gays to do and for Les Essentials to do. So, you know, it's good. We have an ever-growing list, and if you all just keep feeding us content, we'll just keep making this
never
podcast
stop.
forever. Exactly.
It also is really nice when we get like a really long email from you. So if you do have the time to sit down and send us an email, we really like hearing from you.
At least like 8 paragraphs minimum, please and thank you.
Please.
Okay.
It makes our week. It's so nice.
It does.
We also want to shout out Spotify Wrapped came out last week. So I know there were a lot of people who were sharing that we were in their top 5, which is really exciting. Our personal one for the podcast said that over 1,000 people, we are the top podcast that they listen to. So I know there's a million podcasts out there. So it's just incredible that over 1,000 of you out there, we are the number 1 show. But even if we're number 4 or number 5 or number 10, as long as you're listening, we love you all. So we just love seeing all of those Spotify
But top
Wraps.
10 only if we're in your top 10.
Oh yeah. 11, we can't do that.
Fuck right out of here. What are you talking about? And as always, we want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Jess Klaus,
Tanya Ferguson,
Jacqueline Rose Nishino,
Sarah and Julia,
Carrie Ann Lawrence,
Danny Gunlock Tamora,
Brittany Ray,
Alana Rosen,
Lizette Stye,
Stacy,
Adi Benitez,
Fiona W.,
and Whitney Lennon,
and our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen,
Leah Henley,
Liz Chen,
Julia Gonzalez,
and Ashley White. Thank you, all of you, and to all of our patrons. As always, we just could not keep doing this podcast without you.
Remember, you can also find us on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and now TikTok at Let's Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at letshangoutpod@gmail.com.
Send us those long emails. We love to see them. Or check out our website at letshangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use to listen to podcasts, make sure that you subscribe. That way you'll get new episodes as soon as they go up.
Also, you can subscribe to The Flame on any podcasting app.
We also have videos going up on our YouTube channel, so make sure that you subscribe to those at youtube.com/letshangoutpod.
If you want to support the podcast, one of the easiest ways to do that is to rate and review us on iTunes. We love hearing what you have to say, and it helps new people find the show.
If you want to support us financially, the best way to do that is to go to our Patreon. You can find it at bit.ly/lespatreon. You get access to so many cool things like our Discord chat. You get ad-free episodes. You get access to our Les Essentials viewing parties. All sorts of fun stuff. It's just a blast, and it helps us make the podcast.
If you want to help support us making new musicals and help us get The Flame on stage, you can join the Flame Patreon at bit.ly/theflamepatreon.
If you want to get our merch, and what a great time to get our merch because we still have all of our holiday patterns available, you can find it at bit.ly/lesshop. I am wearing my It's the Most Wonderful Time to Be Queer shirt right now, and I love it, and you should all get one. That's
You're
all.
rocking it, and I cannot wait. I really want a It's the Most Wonderful Time to Be Queer mug so I can just sit and get some hot chocolate in my beautiful Let's Hang Out mug.
Sounds delightful.
It is. Delightful and gay.
Just like you.
Just like me, yes. If you want to find us individually, you can find me at Ellie Brigida on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee.
And let's
hang out again soon.
Let's hang out.
Hi, I'm Laura Cathcart Robbins, and I am the host and creator of the podcast Only One in the Room. Every week, my co-host Scott Slaughter and I invite you to join us and lose yourself in someone's incredible Only One story. We talk to real people dealing with issues like infertility, the death of a loved one, human trafficking, and women who, fake it. Oh, and we want to be fair, so we talk to celebrities too. Emmy winners like actor John Cryer, supermodels like Amber Valletta, and rock stars like Ryan Dusick. Everyone is invited to share their only one story with our listeners. With 21 seasons and counting, we guarantee you that Only One in the Room has a story that you'll connect with. This podcast is for anyone who has ever felt alone in a room full of people, which is to say that this podcast is for everyone. Download Only One in the Room on Apple or Spotify today.